Hey, when we talk about maintaining a healthy relationship, we often hear about the importance of communication, right? So it's easy to assume communication is just an open flow of words between partners. But as true communication, it's really far deeper. It's not just a task, it's an art that shapes and refines the structure of any relationship. And at its core, communication, it's the willingness to create a bridge between your own subjective world and that of another. Right? Let me repeat this, okay? At its core, communication is the willingness to create a bridge between your own subjective world and that of another, right? To share truths and not simply hear, but absorb and empathize with another's experience. It's the openness to be vulnerable without fear, and equally the resilience to receive another's vulnerability without retreating or retaliating. So quite often people say things like, you don't communicate, or I didn't hear communication. It's like you just heard words being exchanged. Or when there is the inability to share one's core truths with another, then communication is lacking. Or when the attempt to share those truths are met with disdain or discomfort or some sort of unease. Communication cannot happen in that way. So in true communication, we do more than share our perspective. Okay? We do a lot more than share our perspective. We hold a mirror for each other to see beyond the surface and dive into the depths of our own blind spots. Not pointing out the blind spots of others, that's not our job. It's our job to share our own blind spots. And by doing so, it'll be reciprocated. So it's not just about talking openly or agreeing all the time. It's about challenging each other with respect, asking questions, right? Respect, asking questions that spark self-reflection. Oh, I didn't know. I've never thought about it that way. Why do you think about it like that? Or how come you have these opinions of me? Or, I've been thinking something like that. Can you elaborate on it for me? You know, an openness instead of a rigidity. So we create a safe space where neither partner feels the need to withhold or mask. So without this deep kind of communication, a relationship quickly becomes a veneer. It's a polite exchange lacking depth, where misunderstandings pile up like leaves in autumn, as we see all over here, right? And it suffocates any possibility for any kind of real growth. The veneer of growth may be there, but it's a veneer. So, after this communication, we look at autonomy, right? Autonomy is really oftentimes misunderstood as an excuse to keep one's distance. But it's the fuel that powers genuine intimacy. Like autonomy, it's the trust that within the container of a relationship, each partner is free to pursue their own passions, ideas, their own values. They're free to pursue them. But also, we uplift them intentionally. It's the ability to be whole without needing someone else to complete you, to stand on your own feet without making the other person responsible for your emotional well-being, right? So without autonomy, we risk entangling ourselves in each other's struggles to the point where both lose sight of their own identity. And instead of growing individually and together, we become two halves, chasing this elusive idea of wholeness So autonomy here, paradoxically, is what allows us to engage deeply with another, because it means we're able to stand on our own. But it doesn't mean isolation, though, right? It isn't shutting down and retreating under the guise of independence. That's not autonomy. That's unhealthy disconnect. So autonomy within relationship is learning to love oneself so wholly and holy that we can genuinely offer love to someone without needing anything in return. So we cultivate this interdependence instead of codependence, where each partner respects the other's path and chooses to walk alongside rather than clinging, rather than controlling or conforming. So we celebrate the wins rather than becoming jealous. When they get that job or career place, we say, "That's amazing, good for you," not, "Oh, look how bad my life is. Look at how my life is horrible," right? That's manipulation to its core. And we don't want that. We want to respect others' autonomy and lift them up. That's wellness. That creates wellness. So another pillar, I think, of relationship health is emotional stability. And this is often mistaken for simply being calm or not overreacting. That's not true. Like, in truth, emotional stability is a deeper state of resilience and this self-regulation, which can be difficult. It's the ability to handle the spectrum of human emotions without spiraling out of control. It's the inner fortitude that enables us to respond instead of reacting. But this doesn't mean when somebody acts a specific way or behaves in ways that are not acceptable that our reaction is the problem. Okay? So we have to allow our feelings without being consumed by them. And to avoid projecting unresolved issues onto our partner. So this emotional stability, it's not about numbing ourselves or avoiding conflict, but about embracing emotions fully while maintaining a sense of perspective and control. So we learn different modalities and activities to do this. So this emotional instability, on the other hand, is like living in a house with unsteady foundations. When emotions swing wildly, they not only affect the person experiencing them, but create turbulence in the entire relationship. This instability breeds insecurity, miscommunication, and even resentment, bitterness. Partners may begin to feel like they're walking on eggshells, never sure what might trigger the next storm. We don't know if there's instability. With instability is this uncertainty. So relationships with one or both partners in emotional chaos often become battlegrounds instead of sanctuaries. And this leads to a state of constant friction and erosion of trust. So emotional stability then is the practice of cultivating an inner calm that can stand strong amid the storms of life here. So the cornerstone of maintaining these elements is a wellness routine. Daily practices that center and ground us, right? It's so necessary. We have to do it. And this isn't just self-care, but self-mastery. Wellness routines, right? Whether they involve meditation, exercise, creative expression, spiritual practices, they're not about adding me time, right, to our day, but about shaping our character, deepening our resilience, and keeping us connecting with our own vitality, right? And in an unhealthy relationship, you'll become quickly disconnected from your own vitality. So wellness routines are paramount. So when we commit to a routine of wellness, we're less likely to fall into unhealthy coping mechanisms like addictions, emotional dependencies, which only serve to weaken our relationships in the long run. No addiction is ever going to make a relationship strong, ever, right? So without a commitment to wellness, we're likely to find ourselves in cycles of stress, distraction, self-neglect, and we'll blame others because we're not being accountable ourselves. And if we're not being accountable ourselves, well, it has to be our environment. That needs to get better. It has to be others. They need to be better. It has to be something external. That's not it, though. An undisciplined mind seeks fleeting relief rather than true fulfillment. And without structure, we inadvertently bring chaos to ourselves and others. We have to. That's how it is. That's how it goes. That's how it's been. That's how it is. That's how it will be. And so conversely, by nurturing our inner life with steady routines, we carry that wellness into our relationships. So we become sources of strength and balance for one another. And that should be the foundation here, right? Not I'm unstable, you be stable and be my pillar. No, both need to be accountable. Both need to be able to follow these things. So maintaining this healthy relationship requires both people to grow individually and together, right? So communication, like I said, is about embracing each other's perspectives openly and courageously, as long as they're healthy, right? We don't embrace others' perspectives which are, intentionally causing damage. No, that's not what I'm saying here. And then autonomy is honoring one's path while choosing to walk alongside another. And emotional stability is the self-regulation needed to engage healthily. And wellness routines are the daily rituals that keep us grounded and aligned. So these 4 pillars here, they create a sanctuary within which love, respect, and growth can flourish naturally, embodying not just the ideal of a relationship, but the profound experience of 2 lives which are consciously, intentionally shared.